Hey guys, it's Troy here, and this is my first Mario Kart Wii video in a very long time. Today I'm going to be sharing my top 10 favorite tracks of Mario Kart Wii, and this is something I'm very surprised that I've never done before. I think I never did it because my opinions would always change, but 9 years later, they're pretty concrete. I don't see this altering much in the future, so I'm just going to share what my favorite tracks are of the 32 that are in Mario Kart Wii. Alright guys, let's get started. Number 10 on my top 10 favorite Mario Kart Wii tracks of all time is DS Peach Gardens. Might come to be a surprise to some of you, because I'll be honest, it's not everyone's favorite track. It's kind of an outlier. The rest of my favorite tracks are very popular, but this one is a personal favorite of mine, and it's been one of my favorites since the game came out in 2008 and when Mario Kart DS came out in 2004. I was actually cleaning out my room and I discovered this paper that was dated, because I used to date my papers. I was really good about that. It was May 2008, so right after Mario Kart Wii came out. I made a list of my top 32 favorite tracks, and this is actually how I got inspired to do this video. But it was funny because the track that was number 1 on the list was Maple Treeway, which isn't even in the top 10, spoiler alert. And Peach Gardens was in my top 5, so I've liked Peach Gardens since the game came out. And one of my favorite sections of Peach Gardens is this hedge maze section. And what's so cool about it is normally there would just be a fastest route and everyone would take that route, despite there being so many different options through the hedge maze. However, because there's chain chomps and then item boxes, you have to not only dodge the chain chomps, which makes you take different routes, but also sometimes you want an item and you'll chase down an item box and you'll weave in and out of all the square hedges, take some super insanely unoptimal route just to get an item. So yeah, another thing that's really unique about this track, I think, is how the shortcut, which was just demonstrated right there, it's definitely the biggest shortcut in the level, but it's right at the very beginning, which means that although sandbagging on this track to get a good item works out really well, by the middle of lap 3, you want to be in first place because there isn't really much catch-up opportunity afterwards. The shortcuts are minimal, and the item boxes aren't always reliable to be able to get. And that one right there is at the very end of the lap. So yeah, I mean, it's cool because it's like, you know, it feels like it would be like a really just hang out in the back type of track, but no, you actually are best off front running Peach Gardens, and it tricks a lot of people because of that. Alright guys, number 9 is a fan favorite for sure, Toad's Factory. And like, how has this track not been brought back in Mario Kart yet? Because think about the glider opportunities on some of these ramps. Nintendo is obsessed with the glider in the newest Mario Kart games. Like, they just overuse it like crazy, and I think it's kind of boring, to be honest, especially in Mario Kart 8. The Mario Kart 7 one was way better. But yeah, how has this track not been back? I guess they're bringing it back for Mario Kart 9. Because like, it's a really, really fun track. Everyone loves it, and it seems like the perfect retro track for a Mario Kart game. Alright, so what is the factory used for? Like, I got me thinking, like, what do they actually make at the factory? And I realized these stoppers, they turn those crates into item boxes. So it all starts here, folks. Item boxes in Mario Kart get created at Toad's Factory. This is a huge discovery because, like, the factory, the rest of it, they don't do anything. Like, those crates are just falling off into the water, and then like the tractors at the end are just sliding back and forth over the boost panels. Yeah, those workers are getting paid to do absolutely nothing, whatever's going on in this factory. But at the beginning of the lap, they're making item boxes. So if you don't like Toad's Factory, I guess it means you don't like Mario Kart, because like, items are that's what Mario Kart's all about. I mean, like, come on. Alright, we're getting off topic here. We're gonna dial things back, talk about the track. Yeah, no, everyone loves Toad's Factory. It's probably just because like it's weird. It kind of just makes like a square. You look at the minimap, it's literally just a glorified square. It's got that one turn, but the turns are very simple, despite contrary to popular belief. And it feels like it's a complicated track, but it's really simple. Number 7, Coconut Mall. I was totally in love with this track when I first played the game, and I still absolutely think it's one of the best tracks. I think what makes it so great is like the idea of racing through a mall is genius, because like it really captures everything a mall has too, with like the escalators. It even has like an open store where you can take a shortcut, and on top of that, it has like just a lot of variety to it. Every section looks entirely different despite it being in a mall, and the different routes allow for lots of decision making. The car section at the end is also one of the most rage-inducing parts of any Mario Kart track, because the car is like, they're not trying to get out of the parking lot, they're literally just trying to run you over and kill you. And of course they're blocking boost panels, and you know how it is, like, you have to go for the boost panels. You see them there and you're like, okay, I'm going for it. I'm gonna spin drift and I'm gonna hit the corner and I'm gonna dodge the car, and it's lap 3, and then you hit the car and then 6 people pass you, and then you feel terrible until like you can redeem yourself next time it gets chosen. But yeah, the track also has a variety of like really cool low jumps, and overall I think pretty much every ramp in general on this track is like really well designed. Alright, we're gonna keep on going. DK Summit is number 7, and I think this track utilizes the trick mechanic the best out of any track in Mario Kart Wii. And that was the brand new mechanic to this game. There were wheelies and then there were tricks. And I remember the trailer for Mario Kart Wii just showed all the different crazy tricks the vehicles were doing. There was like stunt tricks and there's like flipping tricks and whatnot. And the only other track that really shows off a variety of different types of ramps to the degree DK Summit does is Waluigi Stadium. And yeah, DK Summit, it also fits the theming of like having all the DK tracks have a cannon in them, which I really like. I guess they kind of abandoned that in Mario Kart 7 with DK Jungle, but DK Jungle Parkway, DK Summit, DK Mountain all have cannons at the beginning of the lap, which I think is really cool. And cannons are always fun. I mean, what I love about cannons is it gives you a second to like take your hands off the controller and maybe like grab a bite to eat or something. No joke. And yeah, overall DK Summit, although it's like very linear, it has that one S-bend area which has a lot of shortcut potential, which is really fun, and it's just like crazy to drive on. It's definitely a front-running track, and also fairly easy to catch up on, because yeah, like even though it's very boost centric, there's still a lot of places to use the mushrooms effectively, which I like a lot. Okay, that was number 7, and we're headed to number 6, which is in the Mushroom Cup, and it is Mushroom Gorge, which was also really high on my 2008 list. And I remember like the gap shortcut on this track is probably what made me like buy Mario Kart Wii, like no joke. I remember I was looking at all the videos for it before it came out, and it was out in Europe and Japan before it came out in America, and there was like there was some sort of mini shortcut video, and it had the gap jump on Mushroom Gorge, and I was just like, oh my god, I want to do that, like that's so awesome. And I don't know, like it came back as a retro track. Oh, this is an off-road glitch, by the way. You can skip the mushroom and you get to go off-road until you hit the next ramp. If you don't know that yet, that's crazy, because like, anyway, this was a retro track in Mario Kart 7, and it had a glider ramp right in this section I'm in right now, and it made it so the gap cut was just done with a glider. And although that was cool, still not as satisfying as hopping and timing it perfectly and making the gap jump. Even though that shortcut has been around since the beginning of time, it's still so easy to fail it, because you have to time it right in order to clear it, and you have to, you know, you're jumping at the right time. It's not like you just align or anything like that. And as you can see, I'm trying to show the normal routes as well as the main shortcuts on the level, just to, you know, give a nice overview of my favorite tracks. But yeah, Mushroom Gorge, it introduced the mushroom panel too, which is now used in a lot of tracks, but normally there's only one of them, while Mushroom Gorge has like 50. Alright guys, we've made it to the top 5, and starting things off is Bowser's Castle from Mario Kart Wii, the only game this track has been in so far. And I remember the first time I saw this track, I was amazed, because I mean, back in 2008, being impressed by graphics Like, that was the thing. Nowadays, I don't really get impressed at all by graphics, but Nintendo games aren't known for graphics, and I remember when I saw the course introduction video, and you see that giant Bowser animatronic thing blowing the fireball across the half pipes, and it's massive, and I just got like so excited. I was like, oh my god, I have to get this game, because I was watching YouTube videos before I got the game. So yeah, this track is very, very much based on the Double Dash Bowser's Castle, with the whole intro. Instead of having the bridge be flat, it's curved to do tricks, and the section afterwards is very similar looking, except it's wavy and like a little bit broken down with the pillars in the middle. But it shares a lot of the same elements as the Double Dash version, and they both are extremely fun tracks and very difficult. In my opinion, the games are getting easier. Like the Mario Kart 8 the Mario Kart 8 Bowser's Castle is just quite a bit easier than this one, and this one right here is one of the most skillful tracks in Mario Kart Wii, with just the amount of tech options, and it has one shortcut which wasn't intended. It's the glitch that I'm about to show right here, and even the shortcut is extremely hard. The whole entire thing is very front run oriented except for the glitch, and if you want to catch up, you have to do that glitch, which is pretty crazy. Or you could dodge the shock. That's another option. And of course, the fire geyser section at the end is really fun, different depending on where you are on the lap. Overall, Bowser Castle, one of the best tracks. But we're moving onwards. Number 4, my favorite track in Mario Kart DS, and my second favorite retro track, which means there's only one more, Delfino Square. Lightly themed off of Mario Sunshine with the name of it and the piantas, of course, cheering you on the sides. I love how they have the flags that overhang on the beginning straightaway. Very festive, and I don't know. I've always just loved this track from the moment I played it, and it's not a difficult track by any means, but it's like the perfect Flower Cup track. I was super stoked for Toad Harbor because it reminded me of this one, and Toad Harbor is really fun, but nowhere near as good as Delfino Square. I think my favorite part about Delfino Square is this section that I'm in right now. There's a dock shortcut, there's the mud shortcut, there's the double shortcut, and then there's the regular route. But even the regular route, you have an option. You can go down to the dock to try to get an item box. There's just so many decisions to make, and it's so like dynamic. And there's not many sections in all Mario Kart games combined that are as good as that one, and just the amount of things to do. Because like, now Nintendo likes to just do 2 different routes, just like in that town section where there's 2 different options and they're kind of the same. Nintendo likes to do that now. Like Ice Ice Outpost is like an example of that in the new Mario Kart 8. But like, when you give more than 2 options, like, it's a lot more fun. So I hope Nintendo tries to make their tracks a little more, just go out a little more on a limb, you know? Because I think they did that with this one and it paid off tremendously, and that's why it'll always be one of my favorite tracks in Mario Kart. And that's going to bring us to my favorite retro track, GBA Bowser Castle 3. It was a tough decision between this and Delfino Square. Ended up going with this one though, because I thought about what track I was most excited to play online. Like when it gets chosen, which one got me hyped the most. And it was definitely this one, because whether it was 150 mirror or 100cc, didn't matter. This track always brought some of the most insane races. And I think it's because no matter how far behind you are, you can always catch up on this track. You could be half a lap behind going into lap 3, but you pull the right chain of items, you hold a bullet bill, you do the ultra cut, use the bullet, dodge the shock, and before you know it, you have a highlight video on YouTube. End me. But anyway, there's a couple things that make this track what it is and make it so enjoyable. It's the low jumps and the shortcuts. There's 2 different shortcuts. There's the ultra, which I just did right there, and then there's the regular. It's easier, but it's sometimes more risky because it's easier to get bumped by other racers. The low tricks, there's 5 of them, and they are a very unique ramp in this game. There's nothing else quite like it. It's something that you have to time a jump and a trick at the same time in order to skip about 0.2 seconds worth of time, but you can do 5 per lap, so that's like a second worth of time just from clicking 2 buttons at the right time, like I did right there. And yeah, I mean, just because there's 2 crazy shortcuts doesn't mean the regular route doesn't get used, because the shortcuts are risky and you lose a lot of time if you miss them. So yeah, this track, even though it's completely flat and it doesn't have all that much when it comes to like creativity in like new stuff, it's just walls, hazards, and you know, a couple jumps. Sometimes that's all you need. The most complicated tracks aren't always the best. But before I go on another tangent, Dry Dry Ruins is number 2 on the list. This track, I'll be honest, I saw a desert track in the Special Cup and I was not too thrilled before the game came out, because the desert tracks in Mario Kart games are generally fairly simple, in the past at least. Dry Dry Desert from GCN, Desert Hills, and then like Calamari Desert from the N64. Very simple designs, not bad tracks, but kind of you know, lackluster in that department. And I was like, the Special Cup is always the most exciting cup in Mario Kart, and I always expect the craziest tracks. So when I saw it was a desert track, I was like, oh, like what are they thinking? But no, this track definitely exceeded my expectations. It is extremely creative in just visual appeal, and then on top of that, driving it is just the greatest. Like, if I haven't played this game in like 6 months, I always pick Flame Runner, I go to time trial mode, and I just like mess around on this track because it is so much fun. Except the bats. Screw those bats right there. I hate those bats. But besides those bats, this track right here is one of the best designed tracks in Mario Kart history for sure. Easy, not even a debate. If you don't like this track, just play it for like 6 hours straight and then tell me you don't like it afterwards, because it's so fun. And what's awesome about it is like, you can front run it, but you have to know what you're doing if you're against good people, or else they'll catch you right away because of how wacky the layout is and all the different text. There's never a normal turn on this track. And then you can also sandbag it, but you have to know what you're doing because all the shortcuts take skill. You can't just spam mushrooms randomly. You gotta know how to use your items in order to catch up on this track. Alright, here we go. Number 1 is Grumble Volcano. A lot of you definitely guessed it. Others probably thought it was DK Mountain. You were terribly mistaken. I'll give some honorable mentions right now though. Koopa Cape, DK Mountain, Mario Raceway, those are all ones I considered to make the top 10. Because I wrote down 9 names, and then for number 10 I had like 4 names written down, ended up going with Peach Gardens. But Grumble Volcano is the most nostalgic track for me. It brings back the most memories, and I think it really like encompasses what the game is all about, Mario Kart Wii. It has it all. It's got like this really unique feature where the track literally falls apart as you race on it. I think that's awesome. And it also has a game-breaking glitch, the most notorious glitch in Mario Kart, and it has some of the coolest shortcuts, like this one right here. That shortcut right there is probably the reason why this is my number 1 track. I'm not gonna lie, because that is super nostalgic for me. When the game first came out back in May 2008, there was this thing called the Mario Kart Wii channel before the servers went down in 2014, and there were time trial leaderboards. And I remember I downloaded the Grumble Volcano Ghost for like the regional record. Colton was sleeping over my house. It was like probably like 1 in the morning or something, and we watched it and we saw him do the rock hop shortcut. It was like right when it just got discovered, and we freaked out, and I played the track all day. Ended up getting a time where I used the shortcut twice, and then I did the lava glitch at the end on the final time, and my time was like 150, but I got 2nd regional, and it was so exciting for me to get that. And ever since, I've loved the track, and I've always loved to race on it. Even though some of the routes are not super well designed because they don't serve too much purpose, other features like the track falling apart and just the difficulty of it make up for it. And it's a little bit of a short track, but it gives me some of the best memories, and that ends up being the reason why I put it at number 1. Alright guys, that was my list of the top 10 Mario Kart Wii tracks from TWD98. Tell me what yours are in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys next time.